I'm still decompressing a little bit. It only ended a few minutes ago, and I gotta say, I think there's only one immediate, proper reaction to the press conference with Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. And it goes a little something like this. Holy God.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast that lets you know the MMA shows you should catch, skip, and can't miss each week, as well as we try and check out a new show, and we do some other stuff, which we'll get to here in a second. But I am Pulver, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris Madaffer. What up, dude?
Living the dream, man. Not really. Well, not yet. I should say not yet. You know?
There you go.
It's good
Fresh
to be back
from New York, right?
Yeah, good to be back home. Definitely have a easier way to not spend a fuckload of money because I don't have to worry about transportation all the time. And
which is not cheap out there.
And the subway is not fun if you're impatient. I'm not an impatient person, but especially if you have to be at restaurant reservations, subway's not ideal. Just a heads up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. So why don't we get into our totally real, super not fake Papa Vodka presents Doug Stanhope presents our sponsors. What are you drinking this week?
So, and this is a fucking great beer.
All right.
Describe it. It's from Carl Strauss, a San Diego beer. It's called the Boardwalk Black Rye.
Ooh.
It's in a bomber 22
Wow, I've
ounce.
actually never had that from Carl Strauss.
I believe they describe it as a double IPA. It says it's a spicy black ale with a hop profile that's pure West Coast. Black and caramelized rye malts add complex. So Atanura hops, if I'm saying that right. Atanura hops.
Weird. It's like a black rye IPA?
Hops, something like that. Yeah, it's basically like a black spice double IPA. It's really good. I like it. It's super fucking dark. It looks very inky, like a stout, or even darker than a stout.
Weird. Yeah, that sounds bomb. Nice. Double IPAs feel like they're almost making, not double IPAs, black IPAs or Cascadian dark ales, if you fancy. Feel like they're starting to creep their way back into the conscious because they weren't around for a while. Speaking of dark beer, I actually have...
Oh, what the
God,
fuck
that was loud. That was my growler from Societe of the Butcher Russian Imperial Stout, because I am a goddamn... Well, we'll see how this goes. I had to even it out, and you'll know why I went with a Russian Imperial Stout here in a minute.
What was the name of it? It literally cut off right after the pop.
Oh, it's the Butcher.
Oh, that's a good one. I remember that.
It's very good. So I got a 2-liter growler of that, which at 9% this show could get interesting. Luckily, yes. I do have a backup beer of the Genesee Cream Ale, which is fucking delicious and like $2. So
I was going to say, that's great budget beer.
It's the best budget beer, so I might get into that here in a second. Wow, that is like all head on this thing. So I'm going to let that sit for a second. While I let that sit, though, we have a drink that is not a sponsor this week. It is a straight-up review. Because, Chris, as you and I were texting back and forth, next week on our commentary, we are going to be drinking McGregor's Proper 12 whiskey. However, since he straight up went after Jameson this week, I want for that, I think what we're going to do is do a side-by-side with Jameson. So, in that case, I figured I needed to actually have tried it ahead of time so that I'm not straight comparing it to Jameson. So I actually have a bottle of Proper 12 Irish whiskey. I'm going to pour 2 middle fingers of this into a rocks glass, and we will do a review here in the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah, man.
Listen to that glug.
Like you mentioned, I'm looking forward to trying it next week.
It should be interesting.
But yeah, I'm curious to let me know whenever you get a chance. Obviously, prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, no, that's so. Oh boy. So I'm drinking this neat, and I'm not gonna drink a ton of it. I feel like I haven't tried this at all. I actually just popped the bottle. That was the sound you heard at the beginning of this. Not the crazy pop from the growler, but the one in the intro. I'm real worried based on the face Dana White made at the press conference when he tried it. I don't know if you saw that, GIF.
No.
He made a very unfortunate face, and just based off the smell already, it smells like cheap whiskey. Like it's
Yeah, so I kind of cheated. I looked. Someone on Reddit said they tried it, and they said they found out that it's only aged like 3 years instead of when it should be like what fucking 10 or 12.
So the secret with blended whiskeys specifically is that only one of the blends has to be 12 years, and the other ones I think the minimum is like 3 or something like that.
Okay. So how did you say it tasted? It was like what?
So I haven't tried it yet. The smell is super fusel, like super fusel alcohol. I'm getting a little bit of like the malt on it, but man, it's real boozy smelling. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers.
Fucking cheers, you cunt.
Okay. Oof.
Yeah, I could tell just by the initial. It wasn't
well,
as good as it
so
could be.
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not good, but it's not bad.
That's good.
Let me put it this way: it's better than Old Crow.
What about Jameson?
So I figured it would be somewhere in that wheelhouse between Old Crow and Jameson. Old Crow, of course, being the plastic bottle jug whiskey, and Jameson being a decent low-end Irish whiskey.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Jameson based on it's just like a very, very popular, let's just fucking shoot it, you know? And
or like Jameson and Coke or something.
You know me, since I'm clearly psychotic, I don't really react to any sort of shots for some reason. But when I actually taste Jameson, it's just like, you know?
Yeah. I like Jameson all right. It's not my go-to, but I definitely don't hate it. I'm going to take another sip of this. So it doesn't have much of a bite on the front end. It's pretty smooth, not a lot of flavor. It's kind of bland. The back end is a lot of alcohol heat. You don't really get much like roastiness or anything that you would get off a whiskey. Of course, it's not like a bourbon, so you're not going to get like a bunch of strong barrel characters like you would from a bourbon. But it seems kind of thin. It's like, I think the best way I can describe it. It's fine. It's not $25 a bottle fine, but it seems fine. It's very thin. That's the thing I'm most surprised about. Because normally Irish whiskeys are a little bit thicker. Like, they have more body to them generally. Like, Jameson has a decent amount of body to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and this just seems kind of thin. So I'm interested to try this with you next week and get your thoughts on it. But
yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm just not getting a lot off of it. Like, it's almost, I don't want to say watery, but it just doesn't have a lot of flavor and or body to it.
Okay.
Like, I'm not getting much malt backbone. I'm not really getting a ton of like any kind of barrel or really anything. Like, it just kind of finishes dry and clean, which I guess is fine. It's probably great for when you're super high on blow, as I believe is the intended purpose of this whiskey, as far as I can tell.
And as far as anyone could probably call it, an Irish combo.
Yeah, evidently. At least when you're in New York.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is our tentative review of this. It's fine.
So it's as good. It's as good as Conor's striking, but also as good as his fucking wrestling.
I would say it's as thin as his jokes as of late.
Yeah.
Or his trash talk, for that matter. But we'll get into that. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I think More Telling will be doing a side-by-side with Jameson, which we will do for the movie commentary next week, which I think will be a lot of fun.
Is this going to be a movie akin to what was similar to a couple weeks ago, where it's bad enough where you want to drink whiskey?
Oh yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna have to be one of those for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Cool, man. Well, why don't we, now that I've gone through that, I'm going to go ahead and start sipping on this fantastic Irish-Russian Stout. What the fuck is wrong with me? Imperial Russian Stout. And I had to balance it out. I figure if I'm drinking an Irish whiskey, got to drink an Imperial Russian Stout just to keep things fair.
Yeah, you have an upcoming fight between an Irish and a Russian, so.
My point exactly. So why don't we go ahead and kick this show off now that we've talked about booze for 10 minutes? Yeah, $25 though. I don't know about that.
So Jameson's like what, 20, 22? Something like this, like $22.
I think it's like 18 most of the time.
18, yeah.
I feel like you can probably get Jameson for under $20. I feel like. Having not had them side by side, I might go with Jameson just because it tastes more like whiskey rather than just like boozy water.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Say hi to G6 who just flew over your house.
That's right. Shouts to G6. Yeah, there's a real bite at the end of that too. That's not real pleasant.
It doesn't sound pleasant.
Like, it's not bad at first. There's almost no flavor at first. And then you get, like, a big booze bite. And then you get, like,
damn it, dude. I can already see, like, Conor going, it fucking sneaks up on you like my left hand.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, and so it does have a little bit of, like, the barrel character and some whiskey notes. And then it just, like, basically goes completely flat. And it finishes like water. It's really weird. It just seems thin. I don't know how I feel about it. Anyway, I'm done talking about that dude's whiskey because the media has done it more than enough this week. Shouts to Chuck Mendenhall basically trying to sell it.
Checks out.
Do you see that fucking tweet?
I think I saw it regurgitated, but I didn't see it like as it was.
Yeah, he tweeted something along the lines of being pensive with Proper 12, and it's just him behind the bottle, like trying to be like. I get that he's trying to make a joke, but it's also basically an advertisement. And
he's being a shill?
Well, that's the thing, is I'm pretty sure all of these journalists are getting that bottle for free, in which case, that's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, that's like goes against the code of ethics.
Basically payola.
So.
Yeah. It's real shady. So I don't know. Anyway, we're done talking about that Irish fuck and his not great booze. We'll talk about his blow problem later. Why don't we start off with the MMA podcast you recommend people catch this week?
So this is kind of ironic, and I'll mention it later with our latest segment that we've been doing. That's the one that you should definitely catch, the Off Topic podcast. But the MMA podcast you should catch. The Jordan Breen show is really good.
Yeah,
I liked his ode to Yamamoto.
That is actually my catch as well.
Yeah. I didn't write too many notes on it, so I'll probably have you explain mostly what you, if you don't mind, or what you jotted down, because I just kind of mostly listened to it.
Well, for sure. And that's the thing about Jordan Breen's show is it's fucking all over the place. Like, it's just how that dude does shows is he just goes and he has rants on top of rambles on top of rants and like weird segues to shit that you're like, why are we talking about some fucking weird promoter that was around for a little bit that like wore kilts and just like weird shit. So yeah, it was a really fun episode though. They cover just about everything. He of course opens talking about Yamamoto and him passing away, and Jordan Breen is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the like most well-rounded aficionados, at least that does radio when it comes to Japanese MMA, especially back then. I mean, he got hired because he had like an encyclopedic knowledge of pancrase events and Shudo and all that stuff. So he kind of goes all over the place. He talks about kids' love of reggaeton, and they play his classic walkout song that everyone remembers.
Yeah, I remember that was interesting when I heard that, because you kind of wouldn't think a guy like Yamamoto would like reggaeton, in the sense of just Japanese upbringing and just the whole martial arts. You know what I mean? I know it might be a little stereotypical
for sure.
paint it in that light, but
and he loved it too. He also had a huge love of weed as well.
then that checks out.
But Breen talks about a lot of early stories where, like the famous story of Kid Yamamoto pulling a BB gun on a Yakuza member, and then Instant Inoue having to go in and smooth things over and like try and take Kid under his wing and stuff like that. They talk about how Yamamoto and Faber was talked about for the longest time, and the Kakutobi boom. It's just really, really good and very... The way Breen talks about things is he'll drop subtle references to deep, deep, deep cuts, and unless you are somewhat familiar with it, it'll just go right over your head. But that dude has layers to every single show he does, and I just really enjoyed it.
I remember
and then Brandon from New Jersey called in, which always takes things off the rails because TJ fucking him and TJ and their fake/real/fake feud between that show and the Laps Fan podcast, and fucking drink it in, man. It's just it's real goofy. But Brandon from New Jersey also is very good at dropping weird, obscure references that then sends Jordan off into spirals about more weird shit. So they ended up talking a lot about Brazil's sketchy MMA events in like parking lots and abandoned Olympic stadiums and padded records in Northeast and South Brazil. The UFC co-promoting with M1. They just go all over the place. They talk about Brock slimming down and getting rid of USADA, Triple G and Canelo. They just literally cover everything, but it's very funny and very informative. I believe they end on Breen turning the fuck up to Tyron Woodley's track, which he is super hyped on.
Yeah, I saw that, promoted multiple times. The thing that's ironic about Woodley's track is his relationship with Dana White, in that White won't ever promote him when it comes to fighting or him actually defending his belt. I was like, oh wait, he's in like some sort of other form of art. Let me just promote him then and just kind of backtrack on my bullshit, or just my shitty comments towards my, employee. It's just...
And even then, he didn't really push that too fucking hard either. He's like, a tweet about it, yeah. Yeah, it's... yeah, Dana's a fucking goof. But yeah, Breen was super hyped on that. He talks about the backstory of the dudes who did the instrumentals for that track and just like goes off on a tangent about it. It's a great example of why Jordan Breen is 100% someone you should check out. And also that show is free this week from Between Rounds. So if you look up
I noticed. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when I first was listening to it, it's like, oh, if you don't blah 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 this, I was like, wait, they gonna like just stop me here because I don't pay? I was like, oops, and I was like, oh wait, that's just like a general thing.
Yeah, normally it's behind the paywall for their Patreon, the Between Rounds Patreon, which includes that, Collapse MMA, behind the paywall with Jeff Sherwood, the Daily Wrap, which is a show where they do like daily MMA news. They put out a bunch of content. They do roundtables and beat down after the bells for events. It's definitely worth your $4 or $5 a month, considering they do like 2 to 4 shows a week, depending on the week. So it's a great value, and their shows are fucking fantastic. But I believe that was free this week from them. Behind the Paywall was free this week, and Jeff Sherwood and Josh Gross put out a free episode of The Outsiders as well. So if you go to the Between Rounds SoundCloud page, it'll have all those episodes that were free from Between Rounds, and I highly recommend checking them out because they're fantastic.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, and thanks for surmising most of the notes that I didn't write.
I mean, and to be fair, there's not really ever a way to like sum up a Jordan Breen show episode because there's just too much. Like every 3 minutes it's a completely different topic, and he's like in the weeds on it. So that's kind of why I love Breen, is because he'll just go off on crazy tangents and lead you down wormholes of like Googling whether or not Boss Rutan covered up the fact that he got popped for painkillers at one point in his career, and just like all kinds of weird shit. So highly recommend checking that out. Cool, man. Well, why don't you, since that was both of our catch this week, why don't you go ahead and jump into your skip if you have one?
Don't really have one. Chael's was interesting, but talked a lot about boxing.
Yeah.
He thought, Chael was a good trash talker in the sense of his delivery, not in the sense, obviously, of Doug Crosby writing his material. As far as
Right.
he was good as far as like selling it, and he was just loving what McGregor. Or no, this podcast. Let's excuse me. I guess I'm talking about his post press conference comments. His post press conference comments. He loved what McGregor did, which is not a surprise. But the episode of this podcast on Monday, he mainly talked about the Triple G and Canelo fight, which I will later on give my quick thoughts on, unless you want me to get that out of the way. It's up to you, but it...
Either way.
You can hear by my tone. It's... So, basically, Chael just mostly talked about how Floyd Mayweather's going to fight Manny Pacquiao again, that kind of bullshit.
Oh, boy.
Not excited for that at all, so I'll just ignore that. What I won't ignore is the fantastic fight, by the way. It was an absolute great fight. Canelo, Triple G. Fucking great fight. Absolutely great.
So I actually missed it. All of what I know about that fight has come from podcasts.
So it was a close fight. I think it was actually closer than the first one.
That's what I've heard.
I ended up still scoring it slightly for Triple G just because of the last round. A lot of people will cite, if they wanted Canelo, he did have more significantly heavier strikes. Like significant blows, I guess, or power shots landed, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Triple G landed the more strikes overall. Yes, it's the 10-point must system. That whole same thing is still in effect. But I scored it round by round. I think I had it like 2-2 going into like the 5th round. And then once it hit posting, dude, Canelo gassed hard. Real hard. Because he made it his mission to try to knock out Triple G, right? So it's just like, it was kind of typical. It was easy for even casual fans to follow. I really do think so. And it's obviously, it's easy to be too subjective. But as objective as I could possibly, I just kind of saw it teetering towards more advantage for Triple G. He just kept landing. Like, Canelo was working the body, kind of just like those hard power shots, try to gas it. But Triple G is just a fucking animal, dude. That dude's like 36, and he just got like, so much good car. It's insane. And he was just working the uppercut on Canelo, and his jab was just a fucking jab of death. I think he threw like over 200 fucking left jabs. Like something insane. I don't know, dude. But I scored it based on points around by round for Triple G. Just like a typical not a draw. And the fact that they gave it, though, majority decision, I thought was bullshit. Like, yes, it was a close, but I don't know. I was basically telling my friend Kevin, I was watching him, like, dude, they're just going to give it to Canelo. It's boxing.
100%.
He's the biggest
and he's
boxing.
Mexican, so already you get favorite.
Wasn't surprised. Do I think he won? No. And I fucking love Canelo. Like, someone says, oh, why do you have to mention you love Canelo? Doesn't that mean you don't want... No, not at all. He's one of my favorite boxers to watch. Just like I love watching Floyd Mayweather fight too. Why? So he doesn't get hit. He has that really rare, elusive style.
For
like
sure.
A Willie Pep style. You know what I mean? I don't care... I shouldn't say I don't care about their outside antics. But when it comes to boxing, I just want to watch them fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Fuck all the politics. Fuck all what they do outside. It's all about what they do in the ring. I love Canelo. I love Triple G. But I think Triple G is 2-0 against Canelo, in my opinion. It's like that first fight. I feel like that first fight was way easier.
First fight was pretty clear.
I think that was the clearest fucking day. Triple G won that fight. 100%.
Yeah.
This fight, I think you can make an argument for Canelo winning. Someone made the point that it actually should have been a draw. And ironically, it probably would have been a draw. Which is ironic because the first fight shouldn't have been a draw. You know what I mean? So it's almost insane.
Shouts to Adelaide Bird only watching Canelo
in a
during
weird,
the first
ironic
fight.
twist of fate, this fight should have been a fucking draw. When the first fight should not have been. So that's my lasting thoughts on it. What really pains me as a boxing fan is I've always said, fuck boxing. These decisions are bullshit. Shouts out to Pacquiao versus Horn. Shouts out to Ward Kovalev 1. And it shouts out to fucking hundreds of other fights that have happened, right? Everyone gets slighted.
Right.
You always come crawling back for the big fights because boxing's fun. You know what I mean? It's fisticuffs. It's just your fists, your shoulders, your hips. It's that art. You know what I mean? It's the most satisfying form of martial arts really to watch. Unless you're a big kickboxing fan, all the pleasure to you in that sense of watching kickboxing. But you know what I mean though? It's just like Yeah, I always keep telling myself I'm not going to come back, but of course I'm fucking lying to myself. I'll come back, you know. Am I gonna watch...
you're a boxing mark, straight up.
Yeah, am I going to watch Pacquiao Mayweather too? Probably, because I'm a piece of shit and I'll probably fucking down a bunch of beers and be like, yeah, you know. Am I going to pay for it? No. I'll admit that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
I definitely am not paying for that garbage.
That's trash. And I'm glad I didn't pay for this fight. It was $90. Fuck that. Great fight.
Fuck that.
Completely awesome fight. Worth $90? No. $60? Yeah, I would have paid $60 for that. 100%. It was a great fight. Yeah, but yeah, sorry. I was rambling. You know, I'm a huge boxing guy, but that's about it. As far as that, I was saying I was sad for Triple G because now his career is fucked. It's not fucked, but now he has his first loss, and it's just like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's... there was a lot of boxing talk.
One last topic on that is boxing belts are bullshit. I know there's too many organizations too many sub promotions. Excuse me, like WA, WBC, WBO, right? Or Lineal or Ring Magazine. Yep. No. There needs to be one fucking champion. This is bullshit because Canelo gets this win. He takes away all of Triple G's belts. It's like, fuck you, dude. Why does that make you like fucking 5 different champions? Do you know what I mean, though? Yeah. It's so dumb.
No, number one bullshit.
It does. Yeah, boxing, when it comes to belts, has always been stupid as fuck. It needs to be like mixed martial arts with one belt. There should be one champion. If you want to prove you're
Chris, I hate to break this to you. There's not just one belt in mixed martial arts.
Well, yeah, not anymore. But you know what I mean. Yeah, not anymore. Where are we kidding?
Not really ever. I mean, there was like a couple years before Pride started, I guess.
Yeah,
but even then, there was like pancakes and shootout.
That is true, because if you just kind of put, even though UFC is the biggest promotion and it's set on that highest pedestal of like talent versus talent, you know, as far as like the strength of schedule, I'd say you make that argument right. UFC is number one as far as like the amount of talent in that promotion compared to other MMA promotions. But you know what I mean? Yeah. I still feel like there should just be one belt in boxing. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Joshua is considered the champ, this like the champ, like, you know, at heavyweight. Everyone wants Tyson Fury to come back. You know what I mean? But so I'll stop there. But
the older I get, the less I give a fuck about belts.
Yeah. It's just all about the money fight, and that's what Floyd Mayweather's great at. He's a great businessman. Anyways, I keep rambling because I'm too passionate about that shit. Let's move on.
Well, actually, that segues perfectly into my skip for this week. I really should just stop listening to this show. Below the Belt, episode 98.
Dude,
I don't know why I did this to myself.
I think you're just a masochist, or...
I think so. I think I like to hear some of the dumb shit he says, but then I just get angry and have to turn it off. So I literally listened to about the first 20 minutes of this show and then turned it off, mostly because ton of football talk. Don't give a fuck.
How many sides did you let out?
Oh, I mean, I don't even think I made it long enough to sigh a whole bunch, because there was just a bunch of football talk where I toned it out. He talks Triple G and Canelo, in which he says it's not a robbery. People need to stop calling it a robbery. Even though he called the first one ahead of time that it was going to be a robbery, and this one he said ahead of time there's no way Triple G wins a decision. So I don't know how you can say that there's no way someone wins a decision, and then also say you can't really talk about robberies. I don't know how that works. And then he says he didn't even watch the UFC Moscow card. So that's when I turned the show off. And I would recommend just skipping it. Because unless you want to hear about Chen and boxing, which since he works with Showtime, he has weird feelings about boxing when it's not on Showtime. So yeah. I would skip it. Cool. And then, so why don't we keep on moving on? Why don't you get us into the show you recommend people catch this week, or can't miss this week?
I mentioned before, and I'll keep this to MMA. I did. You had texted me to check out 3 Amigos, the special episode. I really like that.
Yeah, dude, you and me are on the same page this week because that is also my can't miss.
I really like that because what's the guy's name? Is he Irish? Or
Ian Kidd.
Or
yeah, he's Irish.
Yeah. I hadn't really... So, I had read multiple summaries of what occurred with the sentencing with John Jones over the past, year and a half? So, is it basically... It's clear at this point that there was no initial intent to cheat, right? Like intent, like I want to take steroids. I know I'm putting.
I mean,
so
because he says there wasn't is basically the only reason.
See, because that's what I was getting from it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jones is that ignorant, and you could put out the lax term or just the relative term stupid, or just
he makes bad decisions.
I mean, it's clear he's not bright when it comes to just making street smart decisions. You know, DUIs alone, hitting people with your car. You know, that's clearly his brain cannot process making common sense decisions.
Also, shouts out to my dog drinking water in the background, which I'm worried is picking up on Mike. That's not me licking water out of a bowl or whiskey out of a bowl, for that matter. Shouts to Seamus, who is not... He's not Irish, you bitches. He's definitely Scottish.
You're like, is that the guy that you're talking about? No. So, the initial notes I put, Jones was looking at 4 years in the beginning because he was caught, 2? So... First time offense is 2 years now? Second.
Well, so it depends on what you get caught with. The first time he got, I believe he got a year the first time, or maybe he got 6 months, because I think he got some amount, which got reduced partially because they were able to say something along the lines of tainted supplements. I think, if I remember right. This time, since he got caught with an anabolic steroid, that is supposed to be a minimum of 2 years for your first offense, which is then supposed to be doubled for your second offense.
Okay.
Instead, he got less than the first offense amount for that.
Yeah.
He served 15 of he served 15 of what should have been somewhere around 45 months.
Yeah, so he was explaining it relatively easily to me, but it was just still kind of mind-boggling how I felt like they just couldn't give him like a straight up just sentence. You know what I mean?
Well, and the reason why it got reduced is because Ian Kidd referenced in this podcast that there is essentially in I believe it's code 10.6.1.1, maybe it's 6.10.1.1, one of those two. I think it's 10.6.1.1 is the clause that so Ian studied a lot of anti-doping, not just across MMA but in other sports like cycling or lifting and stuff like that, and that is always the clause that is used when you are helping out USADA by essentially snitching. Like, that's basically the snitching clause.
Yep.
And that is the clause that USADA referenced when saying that they're reducing his sentence. So, as far as we can tell, John Jones probably ratted on some people.
Oh, no, he 100% did. And, I wouldn't be surprised if his new nickname on Reddit is some form of the Golden Snitch. No, that's the other guy from California State Athletic Commission.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
No, actually from USADA.
Or USADA.
Or formerly of USADA.
Yeah.
Jeff Nowitzki, the Golden Snitch.
Yeah. But, you know what I mean? Jones is a snitch. He wants to get back to action. Should we just talk about this now? What this is all leading to? So, okay. So, as far as John Jones being back, what is it, October 23rd? Do you think he's fighting the main event at UFC 230? Let's just get that.
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so, because I think it's too late at this point. And Gus is still out there talking like he wants the fight.
Yeah.
Which they're not going to do the DC fight, I don't think. So I think 100% no.
Because you just saw what happened with Woodley today, right?
Yeah, Woodley had to drop out because or Woodley can't take it because he has to have surgery on his hand.
Yeah, he just hits too hard.
Yep.
So what do you think? Do they just do Dustin versus Nate main event? Or do they just,
if Nate shows up to that fight.
Or, and this, you know what? Now that you say that, you know what's gonna fucking happen, WME style. Hey Nate, yeah, who's this? It's Endeavor. Okay, what's up? Yeah, so you didn't want to show up to 2:30. What if it's for the 165 belt?
I heard Dustin calling for that.
it, and he'd love to still throw down with you. Alright, fuck it. Give me this much money. You know what I mean? And then,
well, you know why they might do that.
Well, because then they get the Conor fight, and Conor doesn't have to worry about fighting for
win or lose. Conor gets the Nate trilogy, and it's for a belt.
And GSP can get involved.
Unless he gets bodied by Dustin, but then you get the Conor-Dustin rematch at 65.
Yep, and that means Dustin's looking fucking badass, too. So it's not...
And who knows what weight GSP can make by then.
Yep.
I don't think GSP can make 65, but... yeah, it should be ridiculous. So there's a couple of things that came out during this USADA thing with Jones, though. It did come out that Jones is still doing blow and went to rehab during that 15 months.
Yeah.
Which, oh boy, he's not the only star of the UFC doing blow, evidently. And let's see. So
you're doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Ian speculates at one point in this that since this would have been decided before it went to arbitration, the UFC and Jon Jones probably knew for like the last month or so that this was going to be the case, because this wasn't decided at arbitration. This was an agreement ahead of arbitration. Arbitration just solidified it, because this was a thing where he basically got a plea deal ahead of time, and then all the arbitration was announcing the plea deal.
Yeah.
So that is why for like the last month or whatever, all kinds of quote unquote sources are saying that Jon Jones is going to be back before the end of the year, because everyone fucking knew. And Ian said that he expects Jones to probably fight around like either the end of the year or beginning of next year, because since they wouldn't have known like when USADA started the timer on that. The time frame basically works out to where it would have been around December 28th, which is like right around that end of the year card, or right before the first of the year card. So he thinks that's probably when we'll end up seeing Jones, but we could see him slide in earlier.
I think
it all depends.
You know what? I really wouldn't be surprised if they do Jones versus Stipe.
It seems like I think 100% they're going to do Jones Gus.
That's what I want.
Plus, aren't they going back to Toronto here not that long, which is where the first one took place?
Because I'm fucking stupid, so sorry if you just heard that sloshing around. But I caught it.
Well, in the meantime, I'm drinking this fantastic Imperial Russian Stout, the Butcher from Societe Brewing, and it is delicious. It's just like a dark chocolate, like milk stout bomb. It's so good. It's like tons of dark chocolate and like dark fruits. It's super tasty, super smooth. Also, I think it's like 9-point-something%. So I gotta be careful with this motherfucker. Let's see. I think Chris is still cleaning up his beer.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can.
I can. Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm back. Yeah, that was weird.
All right. Cool. In the meantime, I was talking about this delicious Russian stout.
Oh, hell yeah. I was gonna say, so getting back to what we were just talking about with Jones. So is the Gus fight the one matchup you'd want to see once he returns? I mean,
yeah.
For me, it's just unfinished business.
Yeah, and I don't want him running to heavyweight and avoiding the Gus fight, because Gus deserves that fight.
Yeah, it's still his toughest fight ever, or closest fight.
Both
ever.
of theirs, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, 100%, and I think it's, that's the fight to make. I don't want to see Jones go straight to heavyweight just to fuck with DC. I think that's annoying, and I don't think DC's gonna fight him anyway. So what's the fucking point? So yeah, that's what I would like to see is the Gus fight. Cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Did you have any new shows this week that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, but it's my off-topic one. I mean, it's not new, as in I haven't heard it before, but I guess as far as new MMA-wise, Jordan Breen I hadn't listened to in probably a couple of years.
Yeah, well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I listened to a new show, and I got some feelings about it.
Okay.
The show Cageside Submissions, episode 243. First off, don't know how there's 243 episodes, and this is the first time I've heard about it. Not sure how that's the case. Man, so first off, let me start by saying fuck Blog Talk Radio. That is the worst podcast hosting site probably fucking ever. It sounds like everyone's audio is being recorded on one of those wax cylinders and then being broadcast on a web browser from 1991. It's 91, fucking terrible. It's so dated. Bad. Rucka Ali used to use the same thing, and it's the lowest goddamn bit rate I've ever heard. It's got to be in like the 20s. It's crazy. So that is already rough. Then, well, first off, I should also mention on their goddamn intro song, which is the worst nu metal intro with bad rapping over it I've ever heard, and then ends with the hook at the end saying "Go Go Steven Reichel" over and over again to the Power Rangers theme. Because the guy's name is Steve Reichel, I guess. It's the fucking worst. It's the worst intro I've ever heard. Oh, God. I can't describe to you how bad. It's like shitty nu metal, like stem face to pain style music with rapping over it. And then it ends with the Go-Go Power or Go-Go Steven Reichel. It's fucking awful. After that, Steve comes on with his co-host, Nikki. And they have played no music bed. The song just ends and it starts with silence, so that's always a good sign to your editing and production quality.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, it's brutal. And then there's just a ton of audio issues immediately. Nikki says she called it about John Jones, that he wasn't going to get a long suspension, because she's the only one. No one else ever said that. She called it. She also has been a fan for about a year. And also is somehow covering fucking MMA Pro League cards. And was at the press conference in New York. So, let that sink in. Yeah, so there's just mad audio issues. They taped this before the press conference actually happened. They keep having Skype issues where they can't hear each other. So either they're both talking at the same time or it's dead silent. And then they just keep like getting confused, and the one person keeps saying they can't hear the other one. They try reconnecting over Skype. Don't cut any of this out, by the way. Christ. They just keep doing this on air. So like the first 20 minutes is all of that. It's real goddamn rough. Steve is mad that MMA sites are covering Canelo Triple G instead of LFA and MMA Pro League. He says the word frickin' around 100 times because he won't swear.
Wait. No way. Like, really?
Yeah, he says frickin'.
Is his name
so
Sage
much?
Northcutt?
Yeah. It might as well be.
Like,
it's frickin' ridiculous, Chris.
Okay, I get it. Like, am I supposed to say freaking now?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, I know I have a foul mouth and I fucking curse like a sailor, even in front of my own mom sometimes, but it's like... I almost say like that's... Okay, don't get me wrong.
Just be a goddamn adult.
If people
talk like an adult.
Too much, it can be distracting and annoying. That is like a real thing. If someone keeps
fuck
saying
that.
It's
more distracting... It's more distracting when people act like an asshole and pretend that bad words don't exist.
That's the point I was getting to. Like, yes, I can see why people... If you say the F word a lot, yes, that could be annoying. But if you're going to replace, like, the word... Just the F word with frickin', that's even fucking worse. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck is your
it just
fucking
makes you sound
problem,
like a kindergartner.
Motherfucker. See what I mean? See what I did there? I said, what the frick, you mother frigetter, you fricker. Frick off. If you're going to do that, just be like fucking Randy from Trailer Park Boys and say frig off. At least that sounds funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just so fucking stupid. Holy shit. Yeah, that
I
just
agree.
upset me that you said that. So go on. I'm sorry. I just had to just go off a little bit on a little tangent. So this guy...
I'm 100% with you.
God damn it.
It drove me fucking nuts.
Fuck, see, I got so upset my fucking earpiece just fell out. So sorry. Keep going.
So yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. And now it just makes me want to say fuck a lot more. The show is very low energy. They talk a little bit about Conor's whiskey. They just more audio issues during all of this. This is like the first 30 minutes. It's just nothing but audio issues. I then eventually stopped listening to that part. I just skipped forward to when they had Dean Thomas on because I couldn't do it. Dean Thomas was good. They mostly just talked to Dean about how... They talked to him about John's suspension. and they talked to him about what he's been doing. A lot of football talk. Dean actually called out that Steve had a super strong Philly accent, which was funny. He was making fun of him about that. A lot more football talk, more Skype delay problems where they keep having Skype issues where the host is behind everyone, so then he ends up talking over every single guest a lot.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's just real frustrating to listen to. Dean was great, but yeah, it's frustrating. And then Mike Russell Skypes in. Of course, Mike Russell, if you guys don't know, is the guy who's been doing all the investigative reporting on the Tim Hague death when he boxed up in Canada.
That's right.
In Edmonton with the Edmonton Commission.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and he's also the guy who has broken most of the stories about Ali Abdelaziz that's working on that whole thing about Ali being a terrorist piece of shit, which everyone finally found out about thanks to Conor McGregor. The one good thing Conor's done in like the last 2 years.
Yes, thank you, BK, for that.
Oh,
you know
that's
what?
right, BK.
I don't even. No, I'm not. No, remember we already said I'm not calling him BK anymore because you know what? He has my blessings for that. That is fucking amazing that he actually went.
Yeah, that's
like
it's pretty good. Whenever you shit on Ali publicly like that, and then
because think
shout
about
out,
this: if any fighter's gonna do it, you would want it to be McGregor. Like you would want it to be McGregor out of any fighter.
For sure.
I mean, that could openly criticize him. Thank you.
Yeah, because then
thank you, Conor McGregor.
then
for
all
doing
the parrots
that.
are gonna.
I'm very happy that he did that.
Well, now all the parrots are going to go around shitting on Ali, which is great. That's what I want the parrots doing. I don't want to hear the word fook anymore. I just want all the parrots to be yelling at Ali about how he's a terrorist and how he needs to pay child support for his kid Noah.
So you just gave me a thought. So does Ali have I'm sure he has an Instagram page of some sort, right?
Oh yeah.
Let me look this up. Real.
Oh yeah, you want to see him hang out with Ramzan Kadyrov?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I don't care. That's already upsetting enough. Oh, he did a thing saying rest in peace. Oh, by the way, rest in peace to Glenn Robinson. That's crazy. I didn't even know that dude passed away a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The former owner.
Even though we have made fun of that dude mercilessly on this show.
I know. Because I remember even one of my coworkers at work, or my manager, he's a huge MMA guy. He trains and everything, and I was like, yeah, you watch Tough, right? He's like, oh, dude, I've seen like almost every season. I mean, you remember Black Stallions versus ATT? And he's like, yeah, but you remember Glenn Robinson? He's like, oh, is that the fucking chubby dude who was annoying as fuck? And he was a guy from I'm like, yeah, but dude, he just fucking died. He's like, oh man, that's crazy. I didn't know how he passed away. I'm not trying to make light of it, but I think
it was a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that was kind of insane when I saw the news. I was like, holy days ago. So if I look on this, I want to see comments.
For sure.
Oh, it's only okay. They're not gonna comment on fucking on Glenn Rob. Oh, I did see a comment. Fuck Conor. Oh, make that Irish cunt dig up his grave. What the fuck? Yeah, people are kind.
Well, I'm sure
someone just said, "Can you explain what happened?" First, I heard about this, or can you talk about Noah? What are you gonna?
Yeah, Noah, the kid who we owes child support for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike Russell calls in, and it's a lot about that. They talk briefly about the John Jones thing, but it's mostly about Ali being a big piece of shit. And just he kind of runs down the Ali story a bit. Talks about how like some journalist shouts to Chuck Mendenhall, who is fucking pimping himself for Conor McGregor's whiskey. Also shitting on Mike Russell for doing real investigative journalism. They talk about that. They talk about the Edmonton Commission and the Tim Hague stuff. It's just really interesting and really informative to hear Mike talk in a long form structure about all that stuff. So that was actually very interesting, despite the host constantly stammering over Mike because of audio Skype issues. So kind of rough, but overall,
I mean,
cool, man.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's about all I wanted to shout out for that. Oh, one cool thing I did hear from that, though, is that first off, he mentions that Ali has asylum in the U.S., which means he's not allowed to leave the U.S., which I never noticed before. But yeah, I don't think he's allowed to leave the U.S.
That's very interesting.
And then the other thing Mike mentioned is that him and Kareem are in talks about starting a podcast. Kareem Zidane, which would be fucking awesome.
That'd be very interesting.
So I hope they go through with that. We tweeted out about it, and I really hope it ends up happening. But that's about all the stuff I wanted to cover on that. Did you have any? Oh, well, I guess we should get to our last one, the well-rounded, or what is it? Podcast for the well-rounded MMA fan. Shouts to co-main event.
Yep.
What show do you recommend people checking out that doesn't have to do with MMA?
So it's been a while since I listened to this fantastic person's podcast. I listened to an episode of The Church of What's Happening Now, hosted by Joey Diaz. Of course. Blue cheese or fuck your mother. He had a guest on there that we've talked about before because of his love for boxing and mixed martial arts, John Berthal, a.k.a. The Punisher.
Oh, yeah.
You've also seen him as Shane.
Wait,
in
the one from
Walking
Punisher
Dead.
Warzone?
No, not that steaming pile of shit.
kidding.
The one from the actual Netflix show.
Hey, how dare you?
Okay,
Punisher
it had
Warzone
its
is
moments.
so good.
It had its moments, I'll admit. As a Punisher Max run is fantastic, and I have a bunch of those volumes, so it's great. But as a movie, nah. Yeah, I got to be under the influence big time. Anyways, John Bernthal, dude, holy shit, really good podcast. This dude, he's been blowing up. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. He played, what the fuck was his name? He played the guy where he's like, when Leonardo DiCaprio's character said, "Sell me this pen." And he's like, "All right, you want this pen?" He's like, "Do you have a piece?" Or he's like, "What does he say? Write your name down?" Or like, "Give me the piece." You know what I mean? He's the guy who like gets pissed off when there's no ketchup. He's that guy. What the fuck's his name?
I can't remember.
I can't remember, but he's been in a bunch of films. He plays the Punisher on Netflix series. Really cool guy. He talked about growing up in Washington, D.C. with former professional boxer and NCAA D1 wrestler and current comedian Sean Kerrigan is one of his good friends. Apparently this guy is now a comedian, so a fucking jack of all trades, clearly.
Evidently.
He talked about he was getting in street fights all the time in his youth. He ended up going to like some an acting class because in DC when he was like out of college, he was like, "Oh, my friends told me you just take this shitty acting class or just like the history of movie and film and you just take acid in the back of the class and just goof off." He's like, "But when I signed up for the class, I actually took a real acting class." And basically, so the first assignment, it's like, what you do is you bring something to class that you care about, right? And he's like, okay, so all these people who are serious about acting, someone had a teddy bear, right? And this person talked about how, like, their grandma gave them the teddy bear and the sentimental value, and the person was so emotionally invested in it, they literally start crying. You know what I mean? Like, because it's kind of like a test. You know what I mean? Like, you show off your actual range and your acting skills. And so he was like, "Fuck."
God, I fucking hate actors.
He was playing baseball at the time. So he's like, "Fuck this corny shit. I don't have anything. I'll just get out my catcher's mitt." And he bullshitted the entire thing and talked about how his mom was dying on her deathbed and gave him like the catcher's mitt that was like descended from his grandpa who was like a pro baseball player. Just some really fucked up shit. And he was like, he was like crying and everything, and people were like in tears and shit. It just shows that, like, damn, that's pretty crazy that you can just pull that off like impromptu, which is interesting to me. And then apparently he admitted that it was all fake, and his professor was mad and was like, "You know what? You're actually you got something special. I recommend if you want to stay out of trouble too," which is ironic. Staying out of trouble in DC. Where does he go next? He goes to fucking Moscow, right? That's a place to stay out of trouble. So he ends up living there for 2 years, plays pro baseball there because he says pro baseball there is just a joke. I mean, it's Russians playing baseball. He said he made some decent money there, as far as living, and basically got in trouble as a kid. Almost got locked away for good. He was at this house party in L.A. with some other big time actor at the time. Obviously, he's not going to name names. But some shithead at the time was trying to steal his dog or something like that. And the guy was trying to fight him. So he ended up turning on, punching the dude, knocks him out, just stone cold, just flash KO. The guy hits his head on the fucking sidewalk and starts bleeding. And apparently he gets arrested, and his friend Sean, who's a pro boxer, fucked up like 3 people. If your homie's a pro boxer, they're going to fuck some shit up. He basically saved him because he said he was getting jumped. What happened is he was in holding, at the LA County Jail, and they're basically saying, "Oh, if this guy doesn't wake up, you're fucked." So he's just like, "Oh, just basically hope for some miracle." The guy woke up, his wife, which basically saved his own ass. But it was an absolute, really fascinating podcast to listen to, mainly because Joey Diaz was talking about the whole process of acting and about knowing certain producers. It's just fascinating. It shows how much common ground there is between to just acting, whether it's in film or television, to stand-up comedy, as far as just that entertainment realm. It was so cool to listen to not only Bernthal's point of view, but how much Joey relates to it as well.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a really good
fascinating. Yeah, especially if you're into movies and film and stand-up. It's or if you're a fan of Bernthal or whatever, it's something you definitely would dig. So
cool, man. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and check that one out for sure. It sounds good.
So how about you?
So for me, I actually have a two-parter, and both of these are defunct podcasts, but they have a decent library, and they're fucking just relaxing and fantastic. The first one is Exotic Tiki Island Podcast with your host Tiki Bryan. Here, I'll just read the description. This does a good job of it. Join Tiki Bryan as he visits different areas of exotic Tiki Island as he plays vintage Hawaiian exotica and island-related music from his personal LP collection. In this episode, we visit Voodoo Peak, the Forbidden Lagoon, and the Hurricane Hut Lounge. It's basically this dude who does kind of like imagine if you were to just pick up a CB radio signal outside of it, like an island that does tiki shit. And there's just like some weird advertisements that are clearly fake that he's made up, and he's just playing like old 50s like island like tiki kind of music,
some
or
Gilligan's
Hawaii
Island
shit. Like that meets like the Tiki Room meets like Elvis movies from the 50s in Hawaii. It's really fucking weird but really cool and very relaxing. Like if you ever wanted a show to make tropical drinks to and just hang out outside in your backyard or something, I highly recommend that. Which leads me into another Tiki podcast that's even better, Tiki Bar TV. This is like probably one of the first booze shows I came across.
That name rings a bell. I think you showed
I probably showed it to you. I fucking loved this podcast. It was on it was one of the first podcasts, at least one of the first video podcasts, because people from iTunes who worked at iTunes were were sending emails into the show being like, hey, your show is our favorite down in the iTunes QA lab. Like it was like 06 maybe, 06 to 09 maybe, something like that.
Okay.
I'll put it this way. The show is so old that during the course of the show, they go from 4:3 aspect ratio to 16:9. That's how old the show is, because they can finally do enough video high enough quality on iTunes to do 16:9.
Oh,
so
shit.
it is, yeah, it's really interesting. It's let's see, Tiki. It's Dr. Tiki, Johnny, and Lala are the three characters in it. Dr. Tiki has a tiki bar that Johnny is the bartender of. Johnny's the bartender of, and Lala is the drunk hot girl. And basically, people come in and have problems, and Dr. Tiki prescribes them a cocktail, and they teach you how to make the drink. They're like 15 minutes long. They're very dumb, surreal comedy. They clearly are big fans of stuff like Mr. Show and Kids in the Hall, like all those old sketch shows. And it's just weird and bizarre and fever dream-esque. And there's lots of dumb bits, and Lala is a fucking smoke show. I recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun.
I like that, dude. That sounds intriguing as fuck.
Yeah, I think there's around 50 episodes or so, and they're all like 10-15 minutes, so you can crank them out in an evening or two. But they're fucking fun, man. I really enjoy it. So check that out, because it's just the right kind of dumb fun for in the background at like a party, or in the background just when you're hanging out making drinks one night. Like it's the best.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
Cool, man. Was there any other shows you wanted to shout out that you heard?
Care or Don't Care was interesting.
That one went some places.
Yeah, from what I wrote down, I like how they first were like, what the fuck is this main event? Which, touche. I like how they have to explain what their podcast is about, and that it's reviewing and analyzing the promotional effort of each fight, and not the fight from like a technical standpoint.
Right, because people are whining like, "This is the worst breakdown show." You're like, "No shit, dude. They do zero research. That's the entire bit for the show."
And I like how Eugene says explaining that to trolls is kind of like trying to it's trying to like explain the time when Norm Macdonald was on Larry King. And Larry King wasn't able to understand the jokes that he was saying. So it's like trying to explain a joke to someone. And he's like, oh, and then you find out later that Larry King wears Depends, or like adult diapers.
Yep.
It's like, what? But it was still funny. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is he going with this? But I was like, it doesn't matter.
That's funny. Cool, is there any other ones?
Unfortunately, no. Well, yeah, no, not at all. Unfortunately. Because I was slacking. How about you?
To be fair, oh shit, hold on. Fucking rolling over the cord for my headphones. I got
you fucking ran over like your joint or pre-rolls with it.
No.
That's a fucking brutal loss.
No, the struggle isn't that real. There's a couple that I wanted to shout out. John Morgan's episode of MMA Roadshow, episode 182, which you guys actually heard on the intro, was pretty fun. Nothing too crazy. It's pretty straightforward. It's mostly just him talking about reactions to the press conference and talking about Conor's whiskey brand and him going after Jameson, Ali talking shit, and that whole weird vibe of the press conference and how it was kind of like dark and depressing almost in parts. But I just liked his take. I thought it was super honest and interesting. And then he's also on location for Bellator 204. It's either 204 or 205 in Boise, Idaho. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. It's just a good episode. The only other ones I wanted to shout out, MMA Junkie had a couple good episodes this week. Episode 2763 and 2764. 2763 had Richard Hunter and Tyron Woodley on. Just interesting. I always like when Richard Hunter is in studio and Tyron Woodley calls in, talk about his song, and having some ligament. He did mention he had ligament damage in his hand, but it didn't come out yet whether or not it was injured to the point where he had to have surgery, which clearly it is. And then 2764, it started out kind of annoying. Not Triple G, Gorgeous George, GG, talks about how he basically is just being old as shit and doesn't know how to use technology, is like the first half hour of that show. She's like, I don't understand. Why can't someone just tell me simply what the difference between Apple TV, Roku, and an Amazon Fire Stick is? Everybody's like, it's basically the same thing. It's just the different manufacturer's thing. He's like, yeah, but why can't people just explain to me what they are? It's like, that's what we're doing, motherfucker. And then he's just whining about how he wants to watch some soccer game, but he can't unless he signs up for a cable package. But one does actually offer it for $3, but I don't want to sign up for the one that offers it for $3 in a single pay. Why can't I just click an app on or a button on my phone and it just works? Just like the most old man problems ever. But luckily that episode is redeemed when Justin Willis calls in, who's just super funny. Dan Tom loves how Justin Willis keeps using the phrase "you dig," like from like the old 70s. Yeah, you dig.
Just reminds me of the words "can you dig it?"
Exactly. And then after that, Joe Warren calls in, which is really the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because Joe Warren, of course, fought Kid Yamamoto in like his third ever fight. I think it was Joe Warren's third fight over in Dream. And Joe just talks about meeting Kid and knowing him pretty well after they fought. He talks about during the Kid fight, they were playing these like intro clips of, oh, he had surgery on his hand and there's a metal plate in it. He had surgery on his elbow and there's a metal plate in it. He had surgery on his knee and there's a metal plate in it. And Joe Warren just looks at his corner and he's like, am I fighting a fucking robot? And tries to get out of the ring, but they wouldn't let him. It's really, really funny. He also uses the phrase, he talks about an early fight that he had. And he uses the phrase, I think I won by knee to the butthole because I just need this dude in the ass like 600 times. It's just a weird episode, but a fun one. And then Adam Piccolotti calls in to talk about fighting in Bellator, which is actually probably just ended. when we're recording this on Friday night. So that was dope. Fights Gone By 99 was pretty good. It's mostly just Jack Slack mourning Kid Yamamoto and talking about him. That one great line that he did have, though, he talks about how the Moscow card was terrible in his opinion. He's like, imagine you're a regular Russian dude, you get done with your job at the homophobia factory, and then you have to sit through the UFC Moscow card. It's like, damn, dude, that is slick. Get done with your job at the homophobia factory. It's a good line. Story Time with Uncle Creepy, We've Lost a Legend was a good episode where he talks about Kid Yamamoto and knowing Kid pretty well, hanging out with him in Japan, stuff like that. He also is going to be our clip for the next segment where he talks about how Ali's a dick, and he literally says fuck you all about Ali for being a snitch, and you'll hear our clip about how he feels about him and Malky, which is real good. And then Luke Thomas did a good episode about the John Jones USADA suspension. I'm not going to get into it, but he basically just compares it to the drug war and says zero tolerance shit never works. Like, also another good line, if you believe these Richard Nixon era drug war claims of dirty fighters and being clean, it's time to wake up. Thought that was good. And then, and then the CME podcast, co-main, they mentioned that they're going to do the Sisters Brothers book or whatever for a CME book club, which I hadn't heard of or read or don't know anything about. But they did mention that Ben pitches doing an Affliction drinking game with malt liquor, and while they wear Affliction shirts and hoodies and shit that are era specific. And sign me up for that fucking stream, because that will be hilarious. So those are the only ones I wanted to shout out, but it was a fun one overall for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Cool, man. Well, we will go ahead and wrap this part here, and when we get back, we will be talking about... We're not going to recap the Moscow card.
I'll just... dude, I was going to say...
Y'all know,
like, I'm actually,
if you know.
That's like a sigh of relief. Because, dude, I was at a fucking Yankees game, and I was on my phone. I was like, wait, the UFC fight's on right now. And I watched it from, like, the Arlovsky fight, which, spoiler alert, wasn't good.
No, that was a bad time to start watching.
Yeah, until the end. I was like, well, that's just the way she goes. So, I mean, yeah, as far as the recap goes, yeah, we'll think of something. Yeah, that's
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the most notable part about the Moscow card, really, if I'm being honest, is the fact that you only got 4 of, 12 fights. You went 8 for 12. I went 10 for 12. So you can tell how lopsided a card is when I go 10 for 12 and one of the ones I get wrong is Hunt losing. Yeah. So, Jesus Christ. But we will go ahead and wrap this one up here. We will be back to cover that. Oh, I do want to mention, shit, I almost forgot. Ben Askren's podcast, the T-Row and Funky Show, which he does with Tommy. God damn it, I wish I could remember that dude's name right now. He's the famous wrestler named Tommy Rollins. That show is ending. The episode 109 was their final episode. Tommy's bowing out of the show because he has 4 kids and he's constantly on the road doing stuff. So he's gonna stop being the co-host on the show. He's just gonna pop in as a guest going forward. And Ben is gonna be taking the show on the road. It's gonna change. The name is gonna change to the Rudis Wrestling Podcast. RUDIS, like the wrestling gear. And it's going to be hosted with him and Matt Dernland, who's a former wrestling coach. I think he was at Penn State and stuff like that. So they're planning on doing twice a week episodes, and they're going to be doing more game day coverage and on location shows for events. So that seems like that'll be pretty dope.
Nice.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. I will cover it when it starts. Not quite MMA related, but Ben Askren is MMA related enough that I'll count it. But we'll go ahead and wrap this here. We will be back after you hear this clip of Ian McCall talking mad shit about Malky and Ali, which is reasonable. Are you excited about it all?
Then he turned snitch on his friends who are actual terrorists. So to me, you're a fucking snitch too Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. You're lower than those fucking terrorists to me. You're a fucking scum, and somehow you're a big time agent. Like, all these fighters are fucking stupid.
A lot of people have trusted their careers with Ali,
And
for sure.
He came up to me in New York and was talking shit to me, and when I was cutting weight, before I even stepped on a scale, and I was laying on the floor, and I was just laughing at him. I'll fuck you up, blah blah blah. And I was like,
What?
well, please don't make me get up off this floor and beat the shit out of you.
I'm surprised he was allowed to be backstage ever again after the UFC, where he went across like the dais and punched Malky Kawa in the face.
Yeah, and that's another shitbag. I hope those guys fucking beat each other to death. They're both idiots.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
And as you might be confused, why are you hearing me already? It's because Chris has something to say about the recap.
Well, so our recap of the Russia card is we found out in Moscow you can absolutely choke out a cube. That's about all I gotta say about the Russia card. That, and I forgot Nicky Thrills can't grapple. He can only grapple if he catches a wild sub. Other than that, I don't have much to say.
Herb Dean.
Oh, yeah, Herb Dean tried to kill CB Dalloway.
I was going to say, in the words of Uriah Faber, wanted to simulate CB Dalloway's death.
Basically. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
That was really bad.
It was real bad.
Other than that, I'll say not fight of the night was Arlovsky versus Abdurakhimov.
Shocking.
And that's about it for me.
Yeah.
Any lasting thoughts you have from USC Moscow?
Not really. Cajun Johnson looked pretty good against Rustam Habilov, which was impressive. Tysonov looked like a beast, like always. Peter Yan and Jinsu Son was a fucking wild-ass fight.
Peter Yan looking like a... Dude, there's some bangers.
Jinsu Son was a fucking wild man, and then you realize, that's Korean zombie screaming in his corner. No wonder he's a shit-eating wild man.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Johnson looked really good, too. So that's about all the takeaways I had.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. Well, let's go ahead and jump straight into the Sao Paulo card.
So we got UFC Fight Night 137. Manawa versus Teixeira. Just kidding. We got Manawa versus who's the other guy? Wait, who's his replacement? Santos?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Manawa versus Thiago Santos. Nope. Manawa's hurt. Now it's UFC Fight Night 137. Santos versus Eryk Anders.
At light heavyweight?
Oh, that's right. Anders is a
even though they're both middleweights.
No, wait. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay, well...
Very
well,
weird.
it makes sense for last minute fights because of the no weight cut. So I'm not mad at that.
If you scroll down and look at the canceled and fizzled bouts on this, there's like 7 of them.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot.
Yeah, Manoa, Teixeira, Ketlin
Dude, he
Vieira
tore
dropped
his
out.
hamstring.
Shoeface dropped out. Magny dropped out. Bilal Muhammad dropped out, and Mark Godbeer dropped out. Fucking crazy. So yeah, this card is not as stacked as it started out.
We'll just say this, or I'll just say this too. You'll probably agree. I am not looking forward to this card. It's harsh, but nope. Dude, I can miss this card tomorrow, and you could like tell next week, hey, what'd you think of that card? I'm like, what card? Like I'm dead. Like.
Yeah, there's some fun fights and some fun matchups, but it's not
the main event sounds
what it used
tight.
to be.
The main event and the co-main, because of this guy's like a prospect, not obviously Brazilian Cowboy, but we'll get into it. But
let's kick it off from the bottom.
Let's get this shit rolling. So first off for the night, we have a strawweight fight between. I was about to say Australia's, but I always forget the fucking flag when I look at it. That's definitely, yes, that is Australia. Okay, wow, great guess. Australia's Alex Chambers going up against Livia Renato Souza from Brazil, clearly, as you would have probably guessed. Yep. So last time we saw the Aussie Alex Chambers, and excuse my internet, barely refreshing. The refresh rate's terrible.
Yeah, shouts to Astro Girl.
Alex Chambers is on a 2-fight skid. Last time we saw her was November of 2017. She lost unanimously to Nadia Kassem. Before that, she got submitted in 2015. Wow, so 2 years before. So I mean, I would assume she was hurt.
It's even crazier when you see, that was UFC 191.
Yeah, she got submitted by Paige Van Zandt.
That was literally 30 UFC pay-per-views ago.
Yeah, that was 30 years ago, clearly.
Pretty much.
Wow, she fought Rose, too, back in the day. She got submitted.
Yep. That was on Tough.
So Alex Chambers, Astro Girls, going up against Liviana Souza.
Yep, coming
Last
out of
time we saw
Invicta.
her, she fought a year ago as well. In August of last year, 2017, she fought against...
Yeah, she had a really...
Janeza Morandin.
Nailed it. Yeah, she had a super strong performance against her. She had the quick finish over Ayaka Hamasai. And their last loss was the when she lost the title to Angela Hill back in Invicta 17. It was a scrappy ass fight. That was a fight where Angela Hill showed that she has fixed the holes in her BJJ game.
Sorry, I just yawned because my excitement is fucking just unheralded,
She also,
dude. Unrivaled.
yeah, she also has. That's right. She also has a win over current 125 Deanna Bennett. Yeah, I wouldn't say contender, but 125 prospect Deanna
Veteran.
Bennett.
Sure.
Veteran is probably more accurate.
So I noticed too she fought 2 family members, Bianca Sotomayor and Aline Sotomayor. I don't know.
Sure. I don't know. That's some fucking Brazilian ass MMA
Unless
right
that's
there.
like a very common name, then whatever.
Oh, actually, wait. She fought Aline twice too.
Yep. So, just based on their resumes, man, I think I'm gonna lean towards the Brazilian Souza.
Yeah, that's the way I'm going too. How
she
do you
fought
have
Angie Hill. She fought Deanna Bennett. I am leaning definitely submission, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's no longer leaning. I am thorough in that decision.
Yeah, me too. There's a couple things that really makes this a tough fucking out for Chambers. Chambers has holes in her round game. She doesn't have the strongest takedown defense in the first place, and she does prefer to be on the ground. So a lot of times she'll give up top control and just accept guard. And Livia is super scrappy. She's an orthodox counter fighter. She has some really good takedowns and a super strong top game. And her jiu-jitsu is top notch. So I also have Souza. I'm probably going to take her by sub in the second. Let's see the odds for this one. So this is, I believe, by far the biggest underdog on the card. Livia Hinata Souza, according to 5 Dimes, is a minus 1100 favorite to a plus 900 Alex Chambers. That's fucking crazy, but I mean that's too big. That's too big a gap. But I'm very confident. I'm so confident Livia Hinata Souza is going to pick this up that I picked her up in fantasy.
Fuck yeah. So, this next fight, my prediction's going to last about 20 seconds, but let's get into it. We got the Brazilian, Eliasu Capoeira-Zaleski, the record
That's
of
right.
19-5. This is a welterweight bout. Going against the doo-wop Dago himself, Luigi
Vendramini.
the Italian.
Shouts to Dan Tom, who did that like 1,400 times this week.
And coincidentally, this dude was born in Brazil, so he's Brazilian by nationality. Shouts out to dumb motherfuckers who confuse nationality with ethnicity. No, it's not your blood, it's where you're born. American is not your blood, for all the people out there that are American, like me and everyone listening to this, or most who listen to this.
Till
Shouts
that's
out.
my fucking pickup truck.
Yeah, right, my V8, my Hemi, all that.
Goddamn hammy.
And now I'm not American, I'm CSA, Confederate. Just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I had to go there. We're not in the South. We're in fucking Southern California, as liberal as it gets. Anyways, the Ginzo Goof, Luigi Vendramini, is making his UFC debut. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how much time do you spend in New York, Chris? Jesus.
I know. Hey, fucking
fucking walking here, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be Bilal Muhammad, which that is a much better matchup.
Yeah. So I hope his name is the Italian Stallion and that he's like another doo-wop Dago and that Rocky, that he could take punches, because then I could see him having a chance of surviving a decision. Because other than that, looking at his picture, man, Zaleski looks like a fucking possessed Lyoto Machida. Do you see that? He looks like horse teeth. You know when horses smile, it looks weird and it shows a lot of gums.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horse Machida is Zaleski to me. When he that picture is scary. That's
it's not scary.
Yeah, it's intimidating in a weird way. And I'm taking Zaleski 100%.
Oh yeah, by what method?
By Baba Di Boopy, Arrivederci. Pow right in the kisser, knock the fuck out.
Cool, you got a round on that?
I'm gonna go round 2. If you're the Italian Stallion, you can take some shots. It's gonna be wobble at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. Lights out for the plumber Luigi. Mario's not gonna be able to save him.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah. How old is Luigi? This guy seems pretty young as shit. Or looks young. Yeah, he's 22, dude. This guy.
Yeah, super young.
If he puts on a show, it's a win.
100%.
It's like you're in bed.
Especially
you're in
this
the show. It's like,
taking the fight on short notice.
It's like whether it's the big leagues, NFL. It's more like Major League Baseball, where the hotshot pitcher strikes you the fuck out, and you're the prospect, and he just literally says, "Welcome to the fucking show," as you walk back to the fucking dugout. You know what I mean? That's probably what's gonna happen. So poor Luigi. And you know what? If Luigi fucking knocks the brakes off Zaleski, guess what? That's a win-win. Instead of, So then you're like, holy shit. There you go. You got dynamite in your hands. You know what I mean?
sure.
You're packing fucking cannolis in your knuckles.
Oh boy. All right. So Zaleski is a minus 840 favorite to a plus 660 Luigi. And yeah, that sounds about right.
So, yeah, that does sound about right. So next up we have I was about to say
this is a Legends fight, as far as I can tell.
I was about to say welterweight, and then I saw Hector Lombard. I'm like, fuck, this has to be middleweight or light heavyweight. I'm sorry, Hector. So yes, this is a middleweight bout between Brazilian Thales Leites and Cuban Hector Lombard. And
that's right.
Hector Lombard is still looking juicy.
Super juicy.
Thales Leites is a record of 27-9. Hector Lombard with a record of 34-9-1. Thales Leites, next time we saw the Brazilian, he's on a 2-fight skid. Last time he fought was this past May. He lost to Jack Hermansson, the Swede, via ground and pound in the middle of round 3.
Yeah, he did pretty good against Jack too, but that was the fight where Jack Hermansson injured his leg super bad in the second round, I think it was, when he got taken down.
Right.
And then he came back in the third, even though he was super injured, to get the ground and pound finish.
That's right. I don't know. That was impressive as fuck.
Yeah.
Before that, he had a unanimous decision loss to Brad Tavares, however, I think it's Tavares, however you want to pronounce it. Before that, he had a win over Sam Alvey. Hector Lombard, not Longboard. Maybe
that's right, 40-year-old Hector Lombard. Coming off a win over CB Dalloway that got overturned because the punches were after the bell, where he dropped and rocked him super bad.
So basically, CB Dalloway just stands for concussion, bro, because he's just getting concussed like a motherfucker at every fight, right?
I mean, he even got fucked up by an elevator not that long ago.
Oh man, does CB just stand for CTE brutally? I mean,
when you look at the 4 people at least the 3 people that Lombard fought before CB, Lombard sounded looking like concussion city as well, to be fair.
Oh, fuck, you're right, dude. The punch, fucking elbows to Hendo.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
That was that head kick and those nasty elbows.
Man, so Hector Lombard's on a 5-fight fucking skid.
That's right. Hasn't won a fight
Technically a
since
6-fight
2014.
skid. Technically a 6-fight skid.
Because of no contest against
I know,
Burton.
but that ain't a win. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So his last win was over Jake Shields in 2014.
Fucking criminy. Holy shit.
Yeah. This card, man.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm going with Litus. I gotta go with someone who's won in the past 4 years. As
I
shitty as
agree.
this fight is.
How do you have
A
it?
decision, 100% is a decision fight. They're just gonna be swinging at fucking air. I don't even know if they can hit each other.
Yeah, I've got the same. Although, I think I'm gonna have to go Litus by sub,
So,
just because I think Hector's gonna swing a lot early and gas super fucking hard after the first round. And Litus is, I feel like, it's just gonna either clip Lombard and get on top, or it's just going to be one of those weird, awkward scrambles, and Lombard's going to be too tired to not fall over, and Litus is going to get on top and catch him with either a head and arm or an RNC.
I can see that as well. So, should be interesting in a totally not fun and entertaining way. If you're a fucking masochist or sadistic in any form, you'll love this fight. And go fuck yourself, too. So,
That's right.
next fight.
So the line on that one
that's right.
is
Thank you.
Litus is a -115 favorite to a +105 Hector Lombard. Yeah, I could see that. It feels like a pick'em because at this point, I think one dude's 37 and the other one's 40. Like, I don't know, man.
It's the laundry fight. They're both washed. So,
Shots fired.
yeah. Don't murder me in my sleep if you ever find me. Sorry, guys.
That's right. Hector Lombard is gonna fucking Cuban missile the shit out of you.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I got my boy Yoel. And it's like, well, you know what? I'll just bust out the cigars, then maybe Yoel will calm down. I love you. Anyways.
He'll see you soon, boy.
Yeah, I hope not. Unless it's fucking just not aggressive or tense. Anyways, next fight we have is a strawweight bout between Brazilian Mayra Bueno Silva. That's a cool middle name or middle last name.
Yeah.
Going up against Canadian Jillian Robertson.
Who I thought was not from Canada.
Yeah, you know what though? Canadians
At least in contenders
are basically Americans who just like hockey more.
Yeah, because in the
And
contender
pancakes
series,
and syrup more. That's and they're nicer. They're Americans who are nicer and like hockey more. And you know what I mean?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the contender series though, she had the American flag next to her name. So I'm not sure what's up
Wait,
with that.
does she train? Does she like move there? Does she like trains at TriStar? Oh, she's an American top team. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. They're saying she's Canadian on there, so she might be, but I didn't know
Oh,
she
was born there, so she's Canadian by birthright.
Was she?
Nationality, yeah. So she's born in Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Oh, there you go.
Basically Buffalo, but yeah. Who knows? She's both. I don't know. Anyways, the Brazilian Mayra Bueno Silva, record of 5-0, is making her UFC debut, her official UFC debut. Before that, she was on Dana White's Contender Series.
Brazil.
What the fuck's a ninja choke? Is that ninjutsu shit?
No, ninja choke is like the what? It's basically when you hit a head and arm guillotine.
Oh,
I mean, no, sorry, an RNC guillotine, where you hit a guillotine. But as far as I know, at least from what I understand, it's when you hit a guillotine, but with the figure 4 RNC style.
that sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, she hit it while standing. So, I mean, it's similar to a regular guillotine, but rather than going palm to palm or high elbow or anything, you basically just wrap it up like an RNC.
Okay. Excuse me, Jillian Robertson. Last time we saw her, she won via rear naked choke in May against Molly McCann, the UFC fight at 130.
Yeah, caught like they were doing pretty well. Like Molly was hanging in there on the feet, doing pretty well, and then as soon as it hit the mat, Robertson was all over her. She immediately started passing, got to mount, was pounding on McCann. McCann gave up her back, and she put her the fuck to sleep.
So, since I haven't really seen these two ladies fight, I know I've seen Robertson fight 100%.
Yeah, Robertson you saw because of the McCann fight, and you probably saw her on Contender Series too. She was on the first season, I think.
I am leaning, however, to Mayra Bueno Silva because this fight is in Brazil. And I think it goes to decision. And we know how the Brazilian judges can be, man. Shouts out to Eryk Anders versus Lyoto Machida.
Or wait, she wasn't on Contender Series. Weird. I super thought Robertson was on Contender Series. I guess she wasn't. I guess she was just on the Tough finale. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
But yeah, I'm going with Silva via judges in Brazil.
Wow, that's ballsy.
It is. I know, Robertson. After you say your pick, tell me the odds, please, because I know
for sure
not gonna win.
Well, so Silva does have some pretty solid Muay Thai, especially in the clinch. And she obviously has some decent chokes. The thing that I'm worried about with her is we haven't seen much of her ground game against high-level competition. And if she at all gets into the clinch, I think Jillian Robertson hits trip takedown, gets on top, and fucking starts pounding on her. So I've got Robertson via second round sub. Just because I think she's going to beat her up from top and eventually get the finish. You had decision?
Yep.
Cool. And then let's see. Decision. The odds for this one are Jillian Robertson is a minus 150 favorite to a plus 140 Mayra Bueno.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah. So next
cool.
up, we have I was going to say welterweight bout. Is it still welterweight? Yes, it is. Veteran Ben Killaby Saunders, the American, is going up against the Brazilian Sergio Moraes, the Panther. Last time we saw Ben Killaby Saunders, I believe he destroyed Jake Ellenberger, or is that two fights? Yep, that was him. Via knee to the body and punches at the end of the first, into the beginning of the first round, the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, straight bodied
this
him.
This past June.
And then he had that scrappy fight with Joban where he got smashed.
Yeah, his teammate, where he lost to Peter Sabana. Saunders is one of just the scrappy veterans where, god damn it, you could clearly sense my excitement. My apologies, everyone. Sergio Moraes, last time we saw him, I think got murdered. I was going to say he got murdered by Kamaru Usman, but I forgot that he got a split decision victory over Tim Means, the Dirty Bird.
Yep.
Not gonna lie, I know Sergio Moraes is a veteran as well, and I know he's had some meaningful fights, but I don't really recall, except for him getting murdered by Usman.
You would know him if you saw him. I believe I want to say he was on Tough Brazil, but I'm not seeing it on his record. So maybe he was one of the guys that came around the time Tough Brazil showed up. But he's fought some motherfuckers. I mean, he fought Cesar Ferreira, Neil Magny, Omari Akhmedov, Zach Otto, Usman. So he's had some tough fights. He has high level jiu-jitsu and wings fucking overhands with both hands. He just comes in and fucking wings overhands in the pocket. Like everything he throws is a giant overhand.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Which is scary against a guy like Ben Saunders because it means two things. Number one, it means Ben Saunders is open to getting clipped with an overhand, but it also means he's ducking his head a lot, which means Ben Saunders is also able to hit the knee to the face possibly. So I think that's mostly what this comes down to, because I think they basically neutralize each other on the ground.
Yeah, I could see.
Because they're both very slick and high level on the ground.
Yeah, it's.
This one's really a coin flip for me. I've been going back and forth on it all week.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Fuck. I think I'm just gonna take Ben Saunders. Just decision. But then you're like, oh wait, you took the other person to be a decision because he's Brazilian. And I guess they probably go towards Moraes. I don't know.
No, I could see Saunders by decision. I'm gonna go Moraes. I'm gonna go knockout just because I'm nervous about Saunders' chin at this point. But I could easily also see Saunders landing that knee in an exchange and fucking up Sergio Moraes. So I'm going to go Moraes by first round knockout, but with like zero fucking confidence at all.
I could very well see that too, because remember that dude throws everything he has into it with his fucking body.
Yep.
What are the odds on that fight?
Sergio Moraes is a minus 265 favorite to a plus 245 Ben Saunders.
Okay.
Which, yeah, but it seems a little wide, but I'm also not surprised considering Ben Saunders got put out pretty bad not that long ago.
Yep. So next up, this... Fuck, dude, I'll be honest, this is so hard to get through this. Like, I know, like, some names on here, but it's like...
There's a lot of dudes stepping in late notice, and there's a lot of, like, debuts.
So, would it be mean if I said this next fight, it's a heavyweight fight, if I just think Chase Sherman's gonna murder this guy? Because I don't remember ever seeing this Augusto Sakai guy. I recognize
so Augusto Sakai fought once in Contender Series Brazil, which is why you don't know him.
Okay. He lost to Czech Congo. Oh, fuck. Like,
Oh, in Bellator? Well,
Dude.
yeah, but, like, dude, who doesn't get decision by Czech Congo after they get hit in the dick 15 times?
dude, this fight is upset. Oh man, I can't. You might have to take over. I don't even know how to really. Yeah.
So Chase Sherman's coming off the loss to Justin Willis by decision, which was back and forth, but he just gets clipped so much. He ate every single counter Justin
That
Willis
was
threw.
an interesting fight for sure.
Yeah.
I remember that fight.
Yeah, and then the Shamil Abdurahimov fight, he got fucking plastered by Shamil Abdurahimov in round one. Again, ate pretty much everything Shamil threw. Still was landing as well, but just zero defense after he lands. He drops his hands almost every time. Augusto Sakai in the Contender Series fight looked good. He threw a lot of really solid leg kicks and was landing some big punches, had good takedown defense. But he was fighting a dude who was basically a blown-up 205er. So I think the dude came in at like 213 or something like that. So really hard to tell. I don't remember his Bellator stint really at all. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not real confident in this one either way. I'm probably going to go...
I was leaning Sherman, but I just have zero confidence in either pick. Yeah. I'm just going to go Sherman. I'm just going to go knockout like round 3, something dumb.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I don't care because that's mean.
Yeah, I could see that. I've got... I'm going to go Sakai by knockout. I'm not confident in that one either. I'm just going Sakai by knockout because I just seen Chase Sherman eat so many goddamn punches in the last 2 fights that
It adds up.
Yeah, it's just hard to trust that he can just keep doing that and it's not going to get worse. So, yeah, that's how I'm going. But, like on most of this card, not a lot of confidence going into that. Chase Sherman is a plus 185 underdog to a plus 200, or to a minus 200 Augusto Sakai.
Okay.
Oh my god, can you guys hear my dog snoring?
I cannot, but the audience might.
It's a real... He's snoring like a motherfucker right now. That's hilarious.
You might have to take over on this one too, dude.
Yep.
I feel
So
like
Luis
Enrique,
Enrique.
but I'll let you run through this one, dude. This
So
is fun.
Luis Enrique is coming off of the loss to Arjan Bular, and then before that he had a loss to Marcin Tybura. He's taking on Ryan Spann, who Ryan Spann has fought once in Contender Series back in June against Sorty, and then he had wins in LFA over Alex Nicholson and Myron Dennis. He also had a loss back in 2017 to Carl Roberson. So, yeah, he's definitely had some tough fights. He got some good wins in LFA. He seems like a live by the sword, die by the sword type of dude in a lot of ways. Almost everything happens, if you look at his last, 5 fights, 6 fights, everything's happened good or bad in the first round. And, like, very, very quickly into the first round in most of them. So, I think this... And Luis Enrique just did almost nothing against Arjan Bhullar. He was defensively sound, except for the wrestling. Well, he wasn't even terrible in the wrestling defense. He just didn't do a lot. He threw very little. He basically would just stick out a jab from too far out, and then whenever Bhullar closed the distance, he would just wing hooks like a madman. I don't know. This fight's gonna be weird as shit. I think this fight either ends in the first minute, or it's gonna be the most boring 15-minute decision.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's half this card, but I trust your judgment on that. And I'll be honest, I'm just gonna go with who you go with. I hate doing that, pulling that shit.
Man, this is a bad one to do that on too. I'm gonna go Span. I don't know why. I guess just because I think Span's gonna try stuff, and I don't have any faith in Eryk to try anything. But there's a decent chance Span goes out like a wild man in the first minute and either eats a giant shot or gets stuck on bottom and eats a bunch of ground and pound in a scramble. So I'm gonna go Span. I'm gonna go Span by a knockout. Yeah, I guess I'll go Span by knockout in the first, but I don't like that pick. I have like a negative amount of confidence in that. I would normally say Span by sub, but picking Span to sub a Brazilian in Brazil seems ill thought out. So I'm gonna take him by TKO early, I guess. Span is a minus 145 favorite to a plus 135 Luis Enrique. Okay, I don't know. Sure. These next guys.
Oh, yes. I was going to make a joke and saying, well, you got to take over again, but I'm not going to be a dick. Of course I know these guys. This is a great lightweight. Well, I won't say great. This is an interesting lightweight matchup between two veterans. You got American Evan Dunham is going up against Brazilian veteran Francisco Trinaldo. Last time we saw Evan Dunham, who has a record of 18-7-1, he got blasted, right? Yep.
OAM.
By OAM, Olivier Aubin-Messier, back at UFC 223 in April of this year. Before that, he had a canceled bout. Before that, he had a draw. Oh, yeah, he drew against Benil Dariush. That was interesting in October of last year. So, wow, he had a fuckload of canceled bouts. Yeah. He's been like the perennial number 15 guy in lightweight, which
off and on
is not bad because they're fucking stacked that weight classes.
For sure.
Francisco Trinaldo, with a record of 22-6, a very scrappy veteran and accomplished veteran as far as who's on his resume. Last time we saw him, he lost a decision to James Vick. Before that, he defeated Jim Miller via unanimous decision. Kevin Lee choked him the fuck out, which kind of put Kevin Lee on the map. Because it's like, wow, he choked out a BJJ guy. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Before that, he beat Paul Felder, but it was to doctor stoppage via cut over the eyebrow. Weird outcome, but it happens. Yeah, he's also fought Yancy Medeiros, Ross Pearson, Chad Lepre,
Dude, if you go all the way down that list, it's gonna go forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
you get the
fucking
idea.
Mike Chiesa in 2014, Gleason Tebow in 2012,
Yuri
Alcantara in 2010. Yeah, Luis Firmino. It's just gonna keep going. So
yeah. This is weird, actually.
Yep.
I like the fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun fight, but it's going to be... they're both at weird points in their career.
You know what? I'm going Trinaldo decision.
Yeah, I could see that.
You're like, dude, all you do is pick decisions, man.
No,
It's the
I
most
could
common
see that.
thing that happens in MMA. It's more common than knockout, right? Fucking decision.
Yeah, except I'm picking Trinaldo by knockout.
That's not
Mostly
a thing.
because it's a Southpaw versus Orthodox matchup, and
Fair
Trinaldo throws mad body shots, which is the exact same thing that dropped Evan Dunham in his last fight against OAM.
There
So,
you go. It
that's how I'm taking
all
that.
adds up.
Let's see. Evan Dunham is a plus 175 underdog to a minus 190 Francisco Trinaldo.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I had to take Trinaldo in this fight because Evan Dunham has said he's retiring afterwards, which means that that's not a good sign.
Effort. Like,
Not even that. It just means that like, if it means you're aware of where you're at, and while that's a good thing, it's not necessarily a good thing going into a fight.
Yeah. This next fight, Mr. McDonald's himself, Charles Do Bronx Oliveira,
That's right.
going up against a person that I don't think I've ever heard of, and I'm sorry, in this stack division, the Spartan Christos Giagos. That's as
It's because
Greek
he's
as
never fought in the UFC. Oh wait, holy shit! Yeah, he did back in the day.
That's as Greek as it gets, by the way. Holy shit, this guy belongs on the wire. Where? Oh yeah, wow. Okay, 2015.
Also, he has a fight against Josh Emmett too back
Dude,
in the
he has some
West Coast
jiu-jitsu.
FC.
Probably not obviously Do Bronx jiu-jitsu, but
Yeah.
for a
Yeah, no, he's
European-
got some good fights against good competition. He's lost a lot of them, but he's got them.
record of 15-6. Where's he from? California. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he's been fighting over in ACB. He's taking on Du Bronx, who Du Bronx is coming off that win over Clay Guida, where he basically started smashing Clay Guida. Clay Guida shot in and gave him the perfect guillotine.
Yeah.
Before that, he had Paul Felder in a very, very deep
That was
darce,
bad.
in which Paul Felder put himself deeper into the darce before escaping and elbowing the shit out of him.
I remember those
and-
elbows. They were bad.
Yeah, and then he caught Will Brooks in a guillotine, very similarly to Clay Guida, where he just stuck his neck in on a takedown, on a double leg, and got caught. And then he has losses to Ricardo Lamos and Anthony Smith, both via guillotine.
Pettis.
Sorry, Anthony Pettis. That's a big difference.
That would be very sad if he fought Anthony Smith.
If you put Anthony Pettis and Sergio Pettis on each other's shoulders, they're still smaller than Anthony Smith.
Yes. Yes.
Jeez. So which way are you leaning in this one?
I think I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira.
Going Chucky Olives?
Yeah, via sub. Via goddamn, I was trying to be creative with McDonald's, but he can't. I was saying he can't say Big Macs. That's Mackenzie Dern.
You're saying he's going to use a guillotine to cut his burger in half?
I mean, if you cut a burger in half for McDonald's, you're kind of insulting your decision to eat McDonald's even more so. But I guess you might as well go all in.
Hey, I don't know what else you can cut in half from McDonald's.
I got Charles Oliveira by submission, but aka subpar effort to repair their ice cream machine at McDonald's. That's a victory.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That was a stretch.
For all the people, that stupid meme where it's like, hey, can I get a shake? Nah, man, our ice cream machine's broken. That's, yeah.
Checks
I
out.
guess that's a thing in McDonald's. So.
Sure. That checks out. That and Szechuan sauce. Everybody's real mad about it. Let's see. So,
Marty!
I should mention, I've got Oliveira by guillotine in the first. I think that 100% Christos Giagos is going to look fine for like the first minute of the fight. He's going to get impatient. He's going to go for a really, really weak double leg like he's against the cage, like he's done in a lot of his fights. He's going to get his neck taken apart by Charles Oliveira. If that doesn't happen in the first round, then 100% Charles Oliveira gasses and gives up. but I think he'll make it and catch him. So Oliveira is a minus 400 favorite to a plus 355 underdog Jagos. Wow, I'm really going out on a limb picking fucking all favorites so far, huh?
Yeah, likewise.
I didn't even realize it till right now. But no, you had a couple underdogs.
So
I don't remember who, but you had somebody.
Yeah, man. So, God.
Oh, you had
damn it,
Myra.
dude. I feel so bad.
And Sherman.
I feel so bad reading these fights and trying to pretend to be excited.
So,
it's wow, dude, you're being an asshole this episode. It's like
after this next two, it gets better.
It does. It does.
Random Marcos taking on Marina Rodriguez. Marina is coming off of a lot of these fighters that it's their debut. They had a fight in that Contender Series Brazil card, which is actually now on Fight Pass and pretty good. Random Marcos, because they put it up with Paul Felder doing commentary over it, so it's pretty good. Let's see. So Random Marcos coming off the loss to Nina Ansarov and the win over Juliana Lima, both by decision. Then prior to that, she had that split decision loss to Alexa Grasso and the win over Carla Esparza. Wow, she really is on a win-loss pattern in a fucking significant way.
Wow.
All the way back to 2015. Or 2014, technically.
Yeah.
Marina Rodriguez is coming off of the win over Maria Oliveira at, like I said, Contender Series Brazil. Before that, she has some wins in Thunder Fight and Shudo Brazil, but no one I know the name of. Yeah, I don't know. Marina Rodriguez, again, similar to the other chick from Contender Series Brazil, she has decent Muay Thai. And she looked good against Maria Oliveira. However, Maria Oliveira also looked like she didn't belong in there and basically turned her back and stopped fighting at a certain point and waved it off herself. So I don't know. Whereas Random Marcos coming off that fight with Nina Ansarov, where she definitely took one of those rounds off Nina. I think it was the first round. And then Nina started coming out strong and land that leg kick super hard. So I don't know. I'm definitely going Random Marcos. I have her in fantasy for that reason.
I saw she fucking beat Carla Esparza, and that was only about a year and a half ago. That's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm going.
That's kind of like your untapped potential. And if you can do that, I got her in this fight.
Yeah, I'm going Randa as well, mostly because she just looked. I just think she's going to be able to out-grapple Marina every single step of the way. And I think that's going to completely shut down Marina's striking game. Do you have a method on that?
Decision.
Yeah, same. Let's keep on moving on. We got Henan Brow.
The guy who missed weight by 5 pounds.
Fucking 5.75. It wasn't even close.
So this must be a bantamweight, or it was, I should say, right?
Was, yeah, catchweight now.
Yeah, I feel bad for Henan Brow on the fact that he was the shit at one point. Granted, that was, and we're homers. Dominic Cruz was out. We get it, but Henan Brow was all the rage.
He was on a 30-fight win streak for a while there.
He was a legit crazy good motherfucker. He wasn't bad. He was good. I wish we would have gotten that Cruz fight. That would have been sick, but
Yep.
He's had a rough going lately. But then again, once it goes towards the end of your career, but he's only. So it's crazy. I say it's the end of his career, but he's 31. But I think he's been fighting since he was 19.
First fight was in 2005, so 14 years ago.
Wait, 17? Or no, probably when he turned 18, because he's probably turning. No. Although
it's Brazil, so it could have been 17.
It was 17. Yeah, he had his birthday. That's nuts.
He hasn't been looking terrible in fights until he gets cracked. And then he gets that super wide-eyed look and starts being ultra hesitant. And then Brian Kelleher hits him with 400 unanswered punches.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. And then he's fighting Mr. Highlight, Andre Ewell. Ewell has the win over Dennis Paiva in the Darce and CES. and he has wins in LFA and King of the Cage prior to that. There's not a lot of footage on this dude. I only saw a little bit. It seems like he's a bit of a... it seems like he's a Sao Paulo brawler. He has some decent subs, but there's really not a lot of footage. So really, this is just a test to see how shot Barao is at this point.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was looking at Bara's past fights. I didn't realize he defended his interim belt like two different times. That's crazy. He won it once against Faber when it was supposed to be Faber versus Cruz, and Cruz got hurt during Ultimate Fighter in 2012. Then he fought Michael McDonald for his interim title defense, which should never happen. 2013, beat him, submitted him. Then he defended against Eddie Wineland and knocked him out. TKO'd him with spinning back kick. Then he became the champion and then beat Faber. And then a guy named TJ Dillashaw comes around and fucking styles on him. That's just like, wow.
Yup, that was the fight that made me think I should start betting on MMA. So that was why, in the lead up to that, I was seeing footage of TJ Dillashaw working with Dwayne, and I was like, I think this is gonna be a fucking problem for stationary ass Muay Thai and Barao.
Barao was minus 1,000.
Yup. And then I didn't bet on that, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I need to start betting.
So, if I look at the Cruz fight, the canceled fight was, it doesn't say, February 2014, it says UFC 169 Cruz, torn groin. Fuck, that's right. God damn, that was so hyped. Fuck. And then since he lost his belt, he then... Yeah, we know how it went. He beat Mitch Gagnon in a warm-up fight, and then he got knocked the fuck out by TJ again. Yeah, and then what's ironic is then he survived Jeremy Stevens in his featherweight debut. It's been an interesting ride. You've seen flashes of brilliance still from Renan Barao because he's still a very technically good fighter. But yeah, I haven't even given you my prediction too. I don't even know actually how I'm gonna pick this. I've been distracted. At this point, I think I gotta go with the new guy, Andre Ewell. Yeah.
How you taking him?
I got him by decision. No, you know what? I got him by TKO, actually.
Ewell by TKO?
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know.
Yeah, here's the problem I'm having is I don't know that Ewell can actually finish Barao.
Yeah.
And I don't know that if this goes to decision, Barao doesn't take it. So I guess I am going to take the favorite yet again in Barao, but I'm fucking 0% confident. If this fight wasn't happening in Brazil, I probably would not take Barao in this fight. But since it is, I will. And Barao is a minus 155 favorite to a plus 145 Ewell, which seems kind of wide.
So
I can see why it is, though.
So next up we have
a murderer.
Yeah, Smiling Sam Alvey, one of our favorites.
I don't know why I said murdering and not just a murder.
Yeah, a murder, a homicide, whatever you want.
Somebody
to call it.
gonna get bodied.
Yeah, someone's gonna get got, as they would say in The Wire.
That's right.
Sam Alvey is fighting Little Nog, Antonio Minotauro. Yeah. I'm at a loss of words because I don't know how to give a case for Little Nog. You know what I mean? I don't.
That's because there is no case for Little.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the case for Little Nog.
He catches
him and Alvey. No, him and Alvey stare at each other for 3 rounds, and Little Nog lands one more punch.
Yeah. Alvey blinks first.
Unless this looks like Rashad versus Alvey, I really think there's no way Alvey doesn't knock him out. Actually, this could very well go to decision now that I'm thinking about it.
And they'll give it to Little Nog.
I think so.
Pursue.
Yeah, but actually, dude, that's not a bad. That's not
just
a
them
bad
staring
point.
at each other, circling around, and fucking whiffing at air, dude. Oh, man.
That's
Holy
not a
shit,
bad
Little Nog,
point.
last time he fought, got murdered by Ryan Bader.
He got murdered. He also got murdered by Anthony Johnson, too.
That was bad, that uppercut. Excuse my excitement, but yeah, I gotta go with Smiling Sam Alvey via TKO via smiling at you too hard.
Oh boy, you're really dropping the sweet jokes today.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, you can tell I'm so fucking stoked.
I can tell, yeah, you're super high energy about this card and not just bitter at this point. Yeah, I've got Alvey by KO in the first, and mostly because on MMA Junkie Radio he says he's been, although he said this in his last fight now that I think about it, but he says he's been working on upping his output, which would be great. Because I think if he ups his output, he definitely finishes Lil Nog.
Okay.
I just think Lil Nog's way too chinny and way too slow at this point in his career. He's just taking so much fucking damage. So yeah, I've definitely got Alvey in this one. And Alvey is a minus 355 to a plus 320. Lil Nog 100%. I think that's the right line.
You said what was it again?
Minus 355 to a plus 320 for Alvey.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, so yeah. Fuck. Next up we have. I think this guy's on my fantasy team, but I can't remember my fucking password. Piece of shit. Alex Cowboy Oliveira, the veteran Brazilian, going up against this guy. Another Ginzo. Another duo-op Dago, and Carlo Pedersoli. We've seen this guy fight before.
Yep, you'll remember Carlo Pedersoli because he's the one with the weird hot air balloon tattoo on his leg.
Yep.
That's the only way I remember him every time is he has like a weird old-timey hot air balloon tattoo on his leg.
And I remember this dude was hyped up by
Or maybe it's a punching bag and it just looks like a hot air balloon. I think I've done this before.
I just remember this dude was hyped up by Reddit as like a prospect at welterweight.
Really?
Yeah. Which is interesting because I don't really remember seeing reason for that. No disrespect.
Maybe it's just because of his win over Nicholas Dalby in Cage Warriors.
Yeah. No disrespect to Pedersoli. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So Oliveira is a wild man. He just throws weird kicks and shit on the feet. But his bread and butter is all from giant slams in the clinch and heavy ground and pound from top. Pedersoli has a super kick heavy game. He has some decent boxing too. He really likes the big left overhand and left kicks to the body and head and to legs for that matter. So I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be fairly competitive, at least early on.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if you were to just tell me pick on the spot, I'm leaning Oliveira.
Why?
I just like the clinch game effort and just the violence that it brings when he puts people up against the fence. Granted, that Yancey fight, which was kind of insane, especially when he got top control. I think he's going to be able to do that against someone like Pedersoli, who only has one fight in the UFC. You just gotta go. You kind of have to go for veteran.
Does he only have one?
Was it one?
Oh yeah, he does. Oh, the Cage Warriors one was the other one, right?
I just have to go with veteran over novice here. You know what I mean?
I can see that. What method?
TKO. I'm thinking round 2. I think Pedersoli kind of plays it safe first round, kind of keeps away. It's straight from the outside.
I can see that.
Kind of feel out Oliveira.
Yeah, I got Oliveira. I also have Oliveira by TKO, I think. I just don't... Unless Pedersoli is able to take Oliveira into deep rounds, I just think every time they get into a clinch exchange, he's going to get out-muscled a lot. And if he ends up on bottom, I think he's in serious trouble of getting finished. So, yeah, I'm going to take Oliveira TKO. Probably first round, but not ultra confident in the round on that one. First two, I would say. And then we got our so Alex Oliveira is a minus 410 favorite to a minus 365. Sorry, minus 410 favorite to a plus 365. Carlo Pedersoli Jr. And yeah, again, sounds about right. I am going all chalk so far on this card. And then we got our main event, or our fourth version of the main event.
I'll let you go ahead and break this one
Sure.
down.
So we got Thiago Maheta Santos taking on Eryk Anders. Santos is, of course, coming off of the recent win over Kevin Holland, who is a Contender Series alum. For that, he had the loss to David Branch and the win over Anthony Smith, which was a molly-whopping. He also beat the shit out of Jack Hermanson and Gerald Mearshart before that. Eryk Anders is coming off a very recent fight against Tim Williams a month ago? Not even a month ago. At UFC Fight Night 135, and then which was the Gaethje versus Vic card. And then before that, he had the fight against Lyoto Machida, which was a split decision, which I think he won. And then he had the win over Marcus Perez back at UFC Fight Night 123. Which way are you leaning on this one?
This is a pretty tough one, to be honest.
Yeah, it basically comes down to, does Thiago Santos bludgeon the shit out of him early, right?
Yeah, because I remember even against Holland, which I love that fight because it was basically a rookie versus a veteran. He showed a lot of heart, and he has a hell of a chin.
And he was talking shit the entire time.
Anders, while he didn't look great against, what was it? The guy from Jersey, the South Jersey Devil.
Tim Williams?
Yeah. He was getting clipped early, and I could see Santos doing that. Eryk Anders has that comeback kind of. And I know that's not a real fighter's trait. I know that. Like, don't blast me for that. You know, like that's bullshit. But he has like that gear shift. You know what I mean? Like the fight or flight. And I kind of just sense Eryk Anders is gonna just hit him with some gnarly shit. I can't remember. Does Santos have a good chin? I mean, if you're someone who throws,
he does until he gasses.
I just could see it. I could really just see Anders putting his lights out, and then like the Brazilians just like going silent, like one of those like Steve Havers for Doom, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just kind of feel that I gotta go Anders, dude. I'm gonna go KO round fucking 4. He'll gas. Round 4.
So I actually have this going very similarly. I was trying to figure out whether I wanted round 3 or round 4 for this. Man, I think I'm gonna take the third, just because as soon as Santos starts gassing, I think Anders is gonna pick up the pace and really start putting it on him. Yeah, I'm gonna say third, but fourth is probably the right answer. But yeah, I just think he's gonna be able to walk through Santos's bombs, and eventually, after Santos starts gassing from throwing heaters at his head the entire time, Eryk Anders is going to come back and land something nasty. That's a bad way to go about thinking someone's going to win, is saying, oh yeah, no, they're going to get the shit beat out of them for at least 5 minutes, but after that, it'll be good. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't have faith in Santos to be able to put him away without gassing. So... the odds on that one, Thiago Santos, is a minus 160 favorite to a plus 150 Eryk Anders. And I'm a little surprised at that line, but not really. Santos hits really fucking hard, and he's a wild man.
Yeah. It's true.
Cool, man. Well, I can tell you're very excited for this card tomorrow.
Dude, I'm so fucking tired. Like, that's the main reason why I sound excited, because I'm very, very exhausted.
I hear you.
I apologize to all people you're like, oh, you're not fucking, hyped. It's like, dude, I'm so out of it. But it just really doesn't help that this card isn't. I'm not digging it, man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this card really doesn't help. And also, what doesn't help is the fact that I think we're all exhausted after this week of John Jones and Conor McGregor. I feel like it really took a lot out of everybody's sales for this week, and everybody's just ready for next weekend already.
Dude, I'm looking. Holy shit! I just blew my mind. I'm looking at events right now. I finally logged into MagWar because I ruined my actual password. Dude, I had no idea Stephen Thompson was fighting Robbie Lawler on ESPN. Already started next. That's crazy. Yeah,
I don't know that I knew that either.
Yeah, listen to this. UFC on ESPN, regular channel, like fucking just main shit. ESPN 1, Thompson versus Lawler, January 18th. Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, he's fighting Robbie.
Yeah, maybe I
fucking
did
Lawler.
remember
I am
hearing
down
that
for
now
that
I think
fight.
about
That
it.
sounds sick.
Yeah, that's
that's
going to be a weird fight,
And
and
then they
I'm
have
worried
here,
Robbie's going to get KO'd.
UFC 233 pay-per-view, January 19th. Oh, so it's like a double weekend thing. You got Youre Romero, the fight of the Juicy Boys, versus Paulo Costa.
Oh, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. See, 232. Before that, at the end of the fucking year, December 29th, you got Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. It's one of my most hyped fights of the year, I may add.
Yup.
Yeah, because right now I'm trying to add. I got to drop Jimmy Manawa. I ended up, by the way, going with Charles Oliveira in my flex.
That's a smart one because it's big points if he wins, and if he doesn't, it'll probably go to a decision.
So yeah, I'm just like right now I see Ally Quinta versus Kevin Lee. I can't confidently pick up Ally Quinta as interesting as that would be.
Yeah. That's
just like
that. Plus,
Edson,
that's gonna be a scrappy
like Edson
fight.
Barboza do versus Dan Hooker. Edson Barboza is available.
Oh my! Oh, I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna say Dan Hooker is available. I was about
to end
this call and go steal him.
I know. I was hoping he was available.
Yeah,
the way around.
0% am I taking Edson Barboza over Dan Hooker
No,
right now.
neither am I right now. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of someone I could put on my contract. You know, I'm thinking motherfucking Pedro Munoz over Brian Caraway.
Yeah, that's pretty good pickup.
I like that contract because Pedro Munoz already got me some points. So sorry, Jimmy Manawa. Greetings from Ball Sacramento, as Tom Segura would say. You're out. You're fucking out, as Kenny Powers would say. Sorry, mate. You tore your fucking groin. Sorry, or your hamstring. I had it wrong. See what I mean? I can't even get it right. I was thinking of Ball Sacramento. See, my
well, on that note,
so
we'll go ahead and wrap it there since I think Ball Sacramento is a good place to go out. But if you guys want to hit us up, you can always shoot us an email, sovpod@gmail.com, or hit us up on Twitter since we're always on there, tsovpod on Twitter. You can go to our YouTube channel where we add playlists of all the shows we're listening to during the week, which is just the Sound of Violence podcast if you search that on YouTube. What else we got going on? You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. I don't know. Do we have anything else we should plug?
Proper 12 next week. Look forward to the commentary.
Oh, yeah. Look forward to our side-by-side, head-to-head breakdown of Proper 12 versus Jameson.
If there's a fight next week, it's a battle of the Irish whiskeys. And Jameson versus Proper 12.
That's right. Clink, clink, and all that. It'll be a fucking straight-up showdown between the Irish whiskeys. And I have a feeling I know which one's going to win. But we'll see. Could be wrong.
You just remind me, what date is that? Let me look at my work schedule. I'm going to give up my shift on Sunday if we're going to record on Saturday, probably.
Oh, that might be a good idea.
Sunday the 30th, yeah. Who wants to work?
Good call. Oh, the day before the first day of Sober October, which I am doing this year, except I'm cheating. Well, kind of. I'm not drinking on the 30th. However, on the 30th of September, however, I am drinking on the 6th because I'm not going to watch fucking Khabib versus Conor sober. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do Sober October other than that. But anyway, we're going to wrap this here. Like we said, you guys can hit us up. Let us know what MMA podcast we should be checking out that we're missing. And until next time, everybody, go do something decadent. We out. Peace.